It's the first night of Sister Location. I'm just going to tell you that up front. Welcome back. Or just welcome if it's your first time here. So, there's a good chance that you're confused as to why I'm saying that Sister Location Night 1, one of the only 2 nights back when FNaF still used the 5 nights formula, where it is literally impossible to lose, is somehow amazing. But hear me out. Night 1 starts like almost every other night in Sister Location. In the elevator before hand unit comes on, and we get the first reason why this night is so good.
It seems that you had some trouble with the keypad. I see what you were trying to type, and I will auto-correct it for you. One moment. Welcome, Eggs Benedict.
It's humor. Early on, hand unit will oftentimes say something funny, with calling you Eggs Benedict being the most obvious example. This isn't the only time the game does this. In fact, it does it on almost every night, but it works best here since it's the first time. There's an argument to be made that the humor undermines the horror of the game, but I think that it actually enhances it. You know how on a cold day, when you get into a hot tub, it feels really nice, but when you get out, it's way colder than before? That's essentially what Sister Location is doing here. The humor lures you into a false sense of security, so when the game gets scary, it gets a lot scarier. The elevator comes to a stop, we crawl inside a vent, and almost immediately get a great example of reason 2 why this night is so great. Its atmosphere. I should mention right out the gate that all these areas are shared with other nights, but similar to humor, it's more effective the first time. All of the areas in Night 1, and in Sister Location in general, have great atmosphere, which is important since FNaF, and a lot of horror games in general, now that I think about it, pretty much rely on atmosphere to be scary. The event is a great example of this. It's incredibly claustrophobic for one, being pretty much as confined to space as you can get, and it's pretty dark, with you only being able to see a little bit in front of you. There's a faint humming in the background, and the sound that the vent makes as you climb through it is great at adding some uncomfortability. And that's really why the atmosphere works so well here. It's uncomfortable. When you're not in a vent, you're surrounded by complex machinery you don't know anything about, and uncanny valley faces. The entire location just has such a mechanical feel to it that makes it feel alien. We make our way through the vent to the primary control module, where hand unit tells us to make sure that the animatronics aren't staged, starting with Ballora. We turn on the light and see that Ballora isn't on stage.
Uh-oh. It looks like Ballora doesn't feel like dancing. Let's give her some motivation. Press the red button now to administer a controlled shock. Maybe that will put the spring back in her step.
Most people's reaction to this was surprise, as this is a very obvious example of poking the bear. Except, dialed up to 11. But this moment is actually more funny than scary because it is so obviously a bad idea, it warps all the way around. But because it's funny, it's actually scary because the humor makes the game scarier. Looking at this diagram, I'm now realizing that this is basically just one big game of hot potato between comedy and horror. Anyways, we shock Ballora, she's back on stage. We shock Funtime Foxy twice, he's back on stage. And then we enter the vent and start making our way to the circus gallery.
Motion trigger, circus gallery vent.
This line is really good because not only is it unexpected, as this is the first time we hear this voice, but it also signals a change in tone for the final part of the night that's significantly more intense than before. The player is already on edge since nothing particularly scary has happened yet, and you know that the night won't end until it does. Immediately, this room has the best atmosphere so far, being the most poorly lit as the light swings around the room. And when you check the light, it doesn't actually illuminate anything, which is unsettling as that means you can't actually see the animatronic on the other side of the glass. But since the room you're in is still more brightly lit, it can see you. And while the glass was off to the side in the primary control module, here it is all around you, meaning that Circus Baby's potential location is also all around you. When you press the shock button, nothing happens. When you press it again, nothing happens. That's concerning since Ballora took one shock and Foxy took 2, so Baby is the most uncooperative animatronic. Press the button a third time, and you still can't see Baby there. But Hand Unit apparently thinks that everything is fine.
Great job, Circus Baby. We knew we could count on you. That concludes your duties for your first night on the job.
I would say it's possible that the intention was not necessarily to be scary here, since it might just be that you can't see Baby on stage here because the lights don't work, but given what comes next, this was definitely set up for a scare.
Motion trigger, circus gallery vent.
The entire night was slowly building out to this moment, so the payoff works really well here. The game used every tactic it could along the way to give this moment the best build-up it could in only 5 minutes, and I would say that it succeeded. My only real complaint is that it's somewhat anticlimactic having that payoff just be a clanging sound, but that setup works well enough that it still works. I really hope that you enjoyed the video. I would appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. It does wonders for helping to grow the channel, and I'm going to be making more videos like this one in the future. My goal is to see if I can reach 100 subs by the end of 2026. Anyways, that's about all I want to say. See you later.